In Season 1 of Prison Break, structural engineer Michael Scofield purposefully gets himself imprisoned at Fox River State Penitentiary so that he can help his older brother, Lincoln Burrows, break out. Lincoln has been framed for the murder of Vice President Caroline Reynolds' brother, Stedman, and is now fast approaching the date of his planned execution. Michael has extensively planned his prison break, including tattooing a massive coded blueprint of the prison across his entire body. Other elements of Michael's plan include faking diabetes with the help of a fellow prisoner named Sona in order to gain regular access to the prison's infirmary. Michael also forms an uneasy alliance with imprisoned mob boss John Abruzzi, who runs the prison's job crew, which is necessary for Michael to have access to locations and tools vital to his plan. Other members of the prison break team include elderly inmate Charles Westmoreland, revealed to be the infamous criminal D.B. Cooper, Michael's loyal cellmate Fernando Sucre, and the young and newly incarcerated tweener, who the aggressive captain of the prison's correctional officers, Brad Bellick, forces into spying on Michael. When sadistic murderer T-Bag discovers the prison break plan, he forces and threatens his way onto the team. During Michael's stay at Fox River, he befriends the prison warden Pope and develops a complicated and forbidden romance with prison doctor Sarah Tancredi. Unfortunately, his highly planned out prison break suffers many setbacks. When part of his blueprint tattoo is burned off, Michael is forced to seek out a psychotic prisoner from the asylum ward named Haywire to help him remember the now missing piece. Tensions amongst the escape team begin to run high, as all of the members resent T-Bag joining them. Abruzzi tries to take matters into his own hands to rid the team of T-Bag's threat, but T-Bag gets the upper hand, slicing the mob boss's throat. Abruzzi survives the attack and shockingly makes peace with T-Bag, calling them even and hoping to set aside their differences in the name of successfully escaping. Outside the prison, Lincoln Burrows' ex-girlfriend Veronica Donovan teams up with Lincoln's teenage son, LJ, and lawyer Nick Severin to uncover the truth behind Stedman's death and clear Lincoln's name. Working on orders from the vice president in a powerful, mysterious agency known as the Company, Secret Service agents Paul Kellerman and Daniel Hale begin hunting Veronica's group to ensure they never uncover the truth. The agents kill LJ's mother and stepfather, framing the teenager as a murderer just like his father. When Hale begins having regrets over his actions, he reveals to Veronica that Stedman is actually alive before Kellerman murders him as well. Veronica eventually discovers that Severin has actually been blackmailed by Abruzzi to spy on her to use as leverage against Michael and Lincoln should he need it. When Severin decides to remain loyal to Veronica, Abruzzi's thugs murder him. As Veronica gets closer to finding Stedman and uncovering the truth behind his fake assassination, Vice President Reynolds assassinates the president and stages it as a heart attack, making her the new president of the United States. Lincoln eventually discovers that his father, Aldo, had previously worked for the company, but gone rogue to take them down. In an effort to draw Aldo out of hiding, the company framed Lincoln for her. As the season comes to a close, Michael's team enacts their plan. After Sarah discovers the escape attempt, she has the locks of the prison infirmary changed, ruining Michael's plan. He begs her to leave the door unlocked, and her romantic feelings for him lead her to complying. When Bellick discovers the escape plan, Westmoreland subdues him, but is mortally wounded in the process. During the escape, the psychotic Haywire forces his way onto the team, which now includes Michael, Lincoln, Abruzzi, Westmoreland, Sucre, C-Note, Tweener, and T-Bag. As the group makes their escape over the prison walls, Westmoreland realizes he is dying and chooses to stay behind, but not before revealing to Michael the location of his secret $5 million stash. Outside the prison, the team ditches Haywire, and Michael forces Tweener to go his own way, as he had previously snitched to Bellick and therefore couldn't be trusted. The others race towards an airstrip where Abruzzi's mob will have a plane waiting for them. Realizing he had no more leverage over the group and that Abruzzi would almost certainly now kill him, T-Bag handcuffs himself to Michael to ensure he is brought along. But this plan doesn't work as Abruzzi chops off T-Bag's hand and the others abandon him. Unfortunately, as the escapees reach the airfield, the plane is forced to leave without them to avoid the approaching police. As the season comes to a close, Michael and his team are forced to flee on foot as the police hunt them down. In Season 2, Michael and Lincoln go their separate ways to avoid their pursuers. Michael and Lincoln stick together, intending to break Lincoln's son, LJ, out of prison and find Westmoreland's money before fleeing to Panama. Drug-addicted FBI agent Alexander Mahone, secretly working for the company, leads the team pursuing the Fox River 8. However, his orders from the company are to kill, not capture. Mahone lures Abruzzi into a trap, and the mob boss is gunned down by the police. He also tracks down the lonely Haywire and ensures his death. The company's trail of bodies doesn't stop there, as Veronica Donovan is murdered by company agents to ensure her silence on Stedman's survival. Meanwhile, Sarah Tancredi enters rehab to battle a drug addiction she relapsed into following her involvement in the prison break. There, she meets Agent Kellerman, who is posing as a friendly fellow addict. Kellerman is no longer allowed access to President Reynolds and must now report to the sadistic Agent Kim. As Kellerman grows closer to Sarah and feels guilt over the innocent lives he has been forced to take, he becomes disillusioned with the company. After wavering on Kim's orders to murder Sarah, Kellerman is disavowed from the company. Or Sarah's father, Governor Frank Tancredi, begins investigating Lincoln Borough's case and realizes not all is as it seems. After discovering a recording confirming Stedman's survival and President Reynolds' involvement, the company murders him. Frank leaves a mysterious key for his daughter, though Sarah has no knowledge of what it unlocks. Sucre reunites with his girlfriend, Maricruz, and C-Note reunites with his wife and daughter. But both men realize their families would be safer without them. They rejoin Michael and Lincoln in their quest to find Westmoreland's money, buried beneath a newly built town. After forcing a veterinarian to reattach his chopped-off hand, T-Bag joins Tweener in forcing their way back into Michael's crew to obtain the money. Brad Bellick, fired from Fox River due to his handling of the prison escape, decides to hunt the escapees for the reward money and steal Westmoreland's fortune for himself. As the crew acquires the cash, Mahone uncovers their plan, captures Tweener, and murders him in cold blood. Before Mahone or Bellick can reach the others, T-Bag steals all the money for himself and flees. Bellick and fellow prison guard Geary capture T-Bag and torture him for the money. Geary then betrays Bellick, stealing the money for himself. T-Bag is forced to cut off his hand again to escape, then tracks down Geary and murders him, framing Bellick as the culprit. Bellick is arrested and imprisoned in Fox River, but Mahone ensures his release to help track down the remaining escapees. As the team once again goes their separate ways, Lincoln rescues LJ and reunites with his father, Aldo. Aldo sends LJ to live secretly and safely with an associate before reuniting with his other son, Michael. But that reunion is short-lived, as Agent Mahone arrives, apprehends Michael and Lincoln, and kills Aldo. Fortunately, Kellerman arrives, shooting Mahone and saving the brothers. Although Michael and Lincoln distrust the former company agent, Kellerman proves his allegiance by helping them find and capture the alive and well Stedman. The trio plans to expose Stedman's survival to the public, but before they can, Stedman dies to protect the company. Michael, Lincoln, and Kellerman then reunite with Sarah Tancredi, and Kellerman reveals he knows where to use Frank's deceased key. The group uses it to obtain the recording of Stedman and President Reynolds, which reveals an incestuous relationship between the two. Michael and Lincoln attempt to use the tape to blackmail Reynolds into pardoning them, but she resigns as president, ruining their plan. Sarah is arrested for aiding Michael and Lincoln, but during her trial, Kellerman arrives to publicly expose the company and the countless heinous acts he committed. Kellerman's testimony ensures both Sarah's release and Lincoln's exoneration. For his actions, Kellerman is arrested, but while being transported to prison, the company assassinates him. When C-Note is once again captured by the police, he cuts a deal with the FBI to inform on the corrupt Mahone in exchange for his release and his family being placed into witness protection. Now a wanted man himself, Mahone pursues Michael and Lincoln to Panama to avoid the company's further wrath. T-Bag also finds himself in Panama, and Bellick follows him there in an attempt to steal Westmoreland's money. Bellick and T-Bag are arrested by the Panamanian police, while Michael successfully steals back the money. Mahone captures Lincoln and attempts to trade him to Michael for the money. Fortunately, Michael's once again one step ahead of the corrupt agent, planting drugs on his getaway boat and ensuring his arrest. As Michael, Lincoln, and Sarah are finally ready to be free of their pursuers, Agent Kim arrives to confront them. Sarah kills Kim, drawing the attention of the Panamanian police. Michael takes the fall for Kim's murder and is arrested. As the season closes, Michael Schofield finds himself imprisoned in Panama's Sona Federal Penitentiary alongside Teabag, Bellick, and Mahone. In Season 3, the prison in Panama, Sona, proves to be a far more complicated environment than Fox River. The guards have entirely abandoned the prison, only guarding the perimeter, while inside, the prisoners are in charge. Drug lord Lechero St. John and his gang have established their own set of rules and moral codes. As Michael and his crew navigate this dangerous terrain, Mahone begins suffering from drug withdrawals, Bellick is forced into a humiliating janitorial role, and Teabag manipulates his way into becoming one of Lechero's most trusted allies. Outside of Sona, Lincoln Burrows is confronted by company agent Gretchen Morgan, who reveals that both Sarah and LJ have been kidnapped and will be executed unless Michael can break a prisoner named James Whistler out of Sona. Whistler, having killed the Panamanian mayor's son in a bar fight, is hiding within the prison's walls under the protection of the other prisoners. Lincoln teams up with Sucre and Whistler's girlfriend Sophia to help Michael with the next break. However, Gretchen demonstrates the seriousness of her threat by delivering the severed head of Sarah Tancredi to Lincoln. Inside the prison, tensions rise as the prisoners begin to revolt against Lechero due to ongoing issues with the water and power supply. Michael steps in to help resolve these problems, earning Lechero's trust and favor. Whistler's safety is guaranteed and he is allowed to move freely, aiding Michael's escape plan. Additionally, teenage McGrady and Agent Mahone, who reluctantly forms an alliance with Michael, join the plan. It becomes clear that the company is after Whistler because of a bird guidebook he always carries, which contains critical information. As Michael's plan starts to disrupt the prison's balance, Lechero's rule begins to falter, sparking further rebellion among the prisoners. Lechero forces Michael to include him in the escape, while Teabag and Bellick also muscle their way into the scheme. As the escape unfolds, everything starts to unravel, giving the men only 30 seconds to make their move. Lechero, Teabag, and Bellick push to escape first, but this is part of Michael's strategy. They are quickly captured by Sona's guards, providing a distraction for Michael, Whistler, Mahone, and McGrady to slip away. McGrady is reunited with his father, and they flee to Colombia to reunite with their family. Michael reunites with Lincoln, and the brothers prepare to trade Whistler to Gretchen. During the trade, LJ is safely returned to his father, but Whistler's true allegiance is revealed. He works for the company. Sophia feels betrayed by him and chooses to be with Lincoln instead. Back in Sona, Sucre is arrested and imprisoned for his role in Michael's escape. Teabag finds Whistler's bird guidebook, which was lost during the escape, and kills Lechero, taking over as the new leader of the prison. Outside, Mahone aligns with Whistler and the company's secret plans, while Michael, driven by the desire for vengeance, decides to stop running. He sets his sights on Gretchen, determined to take down the company and avenge the death of Sarah Tancredi. In Prison Break, Season 4, Lincoln Burrows is enjoying a peaceful life in Panama with his son LJ and Sophia, but Michael Schofield is still consumed by his mission to bring down the company. Michael confronts Gretchen Morgan, who shocks him by revealing that Sarah Tancredi is alive. As the story unfolds, Michael uncovers a major plot involving James Whistler and Alex Mahone working together to steal an electronic card called Scylla, which contains information on the company's operations and secrets, including access to infinite energy. The company's leader, General Jonathan Krantz, sends his ruthless henchman Wyatt to kill Whistler and recover Scylla. During this pursuit, Mahone discovers that Wyatt is responsible for the death of his son, further fueling his desire for revenge. Meanwhile, Michael reunites with Sarah and is recruited by Homeland Security agent Donald Self to help retrieve Scylla and bring down the company. Self recruits Mahone, Lincoln, Sucre, and Bellick, promising them full pardons if they succeed. As the team attempts to steal Scylla, they realize it's not a single card, but 6 separate cards, each held by a different member of the company. This complicates their plans, especially as Wyatt continues to hunt them down. Mahone, driven by vengeance, eventually catches and kills Wyatt. After collecting 5 of the 6 Scylla cards, the team discovers that the final card belongs to the general, and the cards can only be decoded within the company's headquarters. Gretchen, having failed to protect the company from Michael's schemes, is captured and tortured. However, she escapes, reunites with her daughter and sister, and decides that the company must be stopped. Meanwhile, Teabag returns to America, using Whistler's Bird Book to assume a new identity and secure a job at a company called Gate, which is connected to the company's headquarters. Gretchen and Teabag form an uneasy alliance, and Michael realizes that Gate's offices provide a route to the company's headquarters. Reluctantly, he and his team must work with Gretchen and Teabag to bring down the company. As the team attempts to tunnel into the company headquarters, a waterline breaks and Bellick sacrifices his life to save the others. Their efforts allow them to successfully break into the headquarters and complete Scylla. However, the team is betrayed by Agent Self, who aligns with Teabag and Gretchen to sell Scylla for profit. Self's plan to sell the cards is foiled when the buyer steals Scylla, and Gretchen is captured and arrested. As the stakes rise, Michael learns that he is suffering from the same brain tumor that killed his mother. Fearing for his brother's life, Lincoln strikes a deal with the general, agreeing to deliver Scylla in exchange for a life-saving surgery for Michael. Though Lincoln saves his brother, he betrays him and becomes an agent of the company, working alongside Self and Teabag. After Michael recovers from his surgery, he learns that his mother, Christina, is still alive and is working with the company. Christina has become the new buyer of Scylla and plans to reform the company from the inside. Meanwhile, Lincoln and his team continue to work for the general to steal Scylla from Christina, while Michael and his allies plan to take it to destroy the company once and for all. The brothers ultimately reconcile and align their efforts to steal Scylla from Christina and bring down the company. After obtaining the final card and completing Scylla, Michael and his team intend to destroy it to keep its power out of the company's hands. However, Agent Kellerman, who was saved by men loyal to Aldo Burrows, arrives and brokers a trade, Scylla for full immunity for Michael, Lincoln, Sarah, Sucre, and Mahone. Teabag is also offered immunity, but the team votes to send him back to Fox River. In the final moments, Michael's sacrifice is revealed, as he chooses to spare the general's life, instead accepting his own death sentence. Prison break. The final break takes place after Michael Schofield and his team escape from the company, and Michael's name is clear. As Michael and Sarah prepare to start a new life together, they get married. However, their happiness is short-lived. Sarah is arrested for the murder of Michael's mother, Christina Schofield. Although the murder was in self-defense, the law doesn't see it that way. She's taken into custody and sent to a secure women's prison, and because of the high-profile nature of the case, Sarah is held in isolation. Inside the prison, Sarah quickly realizes she isn't safe. Word spreads that she is carrying Michael Schofield's baby, making her a target. A wealthy inmate named Rita and a few others try to help her, but Sarah is constantly watched, and a bounty is placed on her head by Gretchen Morgan, Michael's former enemy, who is now imprisoned there as well. Outside the prison walls, Michael discovers the threat to Sarah's life and begins to plan an elaborate escape. With the help of Lincoln, Sucre, and Mahone, Michael devises a plan to break into the prison and free his wife before she is killed. As the escape unfolds, Michael risks everything to get Sarah out alive. He successfully leads her through the underground tunnels and into freedom, but at a cost. To ensure Sarah can escape safely, Michael sacrifices himself, triggering an electrical device that opens the final gate, but ultimately kills him in the process. The film ends with a heartfelt goodbye as Sarah watches a video message Michael recorded before his death, explaining his love for her and why he made the choice he did. Michael's sacrifice allows Sarah and their unborn child to live free, while his memory lives on in those he saved. In Season 5 of Prison Break, 7 years have passed since Michael Schofield was presumed dead. Teabag is unexpectedly released from Fox River by a mysterious man named Caniel Aldis, who leaves him with a photo suggesting that Michael is alive and imprisoned in a facility called Ogajia in Yemen. As part of this mysterious arrangement, Teabag also receives a high-tech prosthetic hand. Teabag takes the photo to Lincoln, who becomes determined to find his brother. He travels to Yemen with Sona, where they confirm the shocking truth: Michael is alive and has been operating under the alias Caniel Aldis. Back in the U.S., Sarah Tancredi is raising her and Michael's young son, Mike, and is now married to a man named Jacob Ness. Upon learning that Michael might still be alive, she begins investigating, only to find herself targeted by two agents, A and W in Van Gogh. They work for a shadowy figure known as Poseidon, who not only arranged Michael's imprisonment, but also framed him for the murder of CIA Director Harlan Gaines. Michael and a fellow inmate named Whip have spent years being forced to carry out prison breaks across Colombia and Egypt under Poseidon's order. Their current mission is to help Abu Ramal, a leader of ISIL, escape from Ojiji. Though Michael initially plans to leave Ramal behind, circumstances force him to include the terrorist in the escape. Meanwhile, Sarah teams up with Kellerman and learns that Poseidon is a rogue CIA operative with dangerous ambition. To silence him, Poseidon has Kellerman killed. As the prison break unfolds, Lincoln and C-Note assist from the outside. Inside, Michael, Whip, and new allies Sid and Ya fight to survive. After the escape, they are captured by ISIL, and Ramal intends to behead Michael for his betrayal. However, Lincoln arrives in time to fight off the attackers, and Whip kills Ramal. Michael and Lincoln are finally reunited, but they are now all targets of ISIL. While fleeing Yemen, Sid is killed by the pursuing militant. C-Note is forced to evacuate without the others, and Jod chooses to go his own way. Michael is later injured by a poisoned blade, prompting Sarah to travel to Greece to save him. There, Michael reveals the truth. Sarah's new husband, Jacob Ness, is actually Poseidon. Sarah races back to the U.S. to protect her son, who has been kidnapped by Jacob's operatives. Meanwhile, Michael, Lincoln, and Whip are rescued by Sukri, who helps them escape Yemen aboard a cargo ship. Back in America, Michael sets his sights on exposing Jacob and rescuing his family. He sends Whip to meet with T-Bag, where they discover a shocking truth. Whip is T-Bag's biological son. Moved by the connection, T-Bag joins their mission against Poseidon. As Van Gogh begins to question Jacob's actions, A and W kills him. The final confrontation takes place in a warehouse, where Michael sets a trap. When A and W kills Whip, a grief-stricken T-Bag kills her in revenge. Michael lures Jacob into recreating the exact circumstances of Director Gaines's murder, capturing everything on camera to finally expose him. Jacob and T-Bag are both arrested and sent to Fox River, where T-Bag exacts brutal revenge for Whip's death. With Poseidon taken down and his name cleared, Michael is finally able to reunite with Sarah and raise their son in peace.